You're All Alone is a 1950 novel, or maybe a novella, I'm not quite sure on the word count, by Fritz Leiber. This story has a very odd history for publication, actually. The first version was finished in 1947 and was 75,000 words, but the manuscript was lost afterwards. In 1950, a 40,000 word version was published in Fantastic Adventures, which I believe is the one I read, I guess, so it put it barely at novel length. In 1980, a different version of the story called The Sinful Ones was released from a 1953 selling. The earlier one has some changes Leiber did not approve of, but the 1980 version saw Leiber edit some of this content but didn't remove all of it. There's also the 1962's The Big Engine that seems to form part of the larger story. The version I read, actually, though, I guess, is from 1972 and was bound up with two shorter works. This, again, appears, though, to be the 1950 version from Fantasy Magazine. I'm not sure. I might get to the Sinful Ones at some point and see what the difference is, because, I mean, it's about double the length, so quite different, I imagine. I think the Sinful Ones, if I remember hearing correctly, is more sexual. Has more sexual content in it, which would make sense, I guess, for the later publication date. So Carmacki, or Carmacki, I'm going to guess is how he says his name, sits at his desk job and suddenly feels oddly disconnected from reality, unplugged even, until a girl walks in and seemingly grounds him. She's scared, and it's immediately obvious something is wrong, not just for her, but something altogether bigger and more sinister. The girl talks about awakening, about knowing who you really are, and Carr doesn't really understand. You act out of ordinary and people don't notice, apparently. Oh, well, certain creepy figures do. Then them and their hounds, or rather their hound. It's really terrifying. The whole world being kind of a machine is the idea here. It's very easy to compare to the Matrix, and it definitely feels like a proto-Matrix. Jane as a love interest, I think, is an interesting idea. Carr just assumes that's the role she'd take, but she very much doesn't fall into that role, though she doesn't seem like she couldn't fill it if she chose to. She's more of an independent, active woman character you don't always get from stories from 1950. I think it can get a bit into the psychology and philosophy also in the story, and even religious ideas such as determinism and predestination. It's not discussed much, just the horror of it and how that makes some bad apples out of the people that know what's going on, right? That figure it out, right? That if you started acting weird, that no one would even notice that you weren't even there if you weren't where you weren't supposed to be. Are humans then inherently tainted, though? Are they mean in some way, just deep down, like naturally? There's also some figures that I guess I would say seem to be Italian. I guess this is more closer to some mafia influence. Overall, though, I think this book is definitely thought-provoking. It's horrifying at times. It is entertaining, and all of which Leiber is good for, of course. He's not very popular these days, but he does seem to be your favorite author's favorite author type of thing, and definitely makes you keep on thinking after you're done, even if you weren't thoroughly entertained. I did this time.